Starting off my list, I have Jonathan India. It wasn't long ago when Jonathan India was Rookie of the Year, but his numbers in the last couple of seasons haven't been able to match those. There are some glimmers of hope, though, as his numbers did see a slight bump this past season from 2022, including his home runs, on-base percentage, slugging, xWOBA, and stolen bases. While his defense at second base still wasn't great, it was better at least as he saw improvements in his defensive runs saved and outs above average, but that's not saying much as both numbers were still in the negatives. Nonetheless, he's still an adequate enough player at only 26 years old and a good clubhouse guy. The Reds also have a bit of an infield logjam with Elly De La Cruz getting called up this past season and Matt McLain showing a lot of promise. While the market is small, there are teams out there who could have an opening at second, including my Red Sox, the White Sox, Tigers, Giants, and Mariners. Up next, I have Gleyber Torres and Alex Verdugo. Since these two have both been in the rumor mill and actually connected with each other's teams, let's do a 2-for-1 here. When it comes to both of these guys, there's a few things in common. They're both entering the last of their arbitration years, their teams have up-and-coming players behind them, both had similar Baseball Reference WARs in 2023, and both players have digestible values on BaseballTradeValues.com, with Verdugo coming in with a $5 million median value, while Torres sits at $6.9 million. The difference, though, is what they bring to the table, with Verdugo bringing more of a contact bat as he ranked 10th last season in contact percentage, along with good defense in the outfield. Gleyber, on the other hand, brings you more power as he hit 25 homers, which ranked up there with some of the top second basemen in the league. They've been connected lately as maybe even swap candidates between the Red Sox and Yankees, which would be a rare trade between the two longtime rivals. Verdugo would be a good fit for many teams, including the Yankees, but also the Braves, Astros, Guardians, and maybe the Marlins or White Sox. As for Torres, he would fit well with the Red Sox as they need a second baseman, but other teams like the White Sox, Mariners, Giants, or maybe even the Tigers could be a fit. Up next, I have Anthony Santander. The Orioles had a breakout season last year, winning 101 games, and Anthony Santander was a big part of that. Over 153 games, the switch hitter hit .257 with a .325 on base and a .472 slugging with 28 homers. While he has been a solid hitter for the Orioles, he hasn't been great defensively in the outfield, meaning he's probably more suited to be a DH at this point. However, with all the young impact players coming up the pipe, including Jackson Holliday, Colton Cowser, and Kobe Mayo, his bat would be replaced sooner rather than later. He's also entering the last year of arbitration, meaning as a free agent after the 2024 season. While it wouldn't hurt the Orioles at all to keep him, they could take advantage of his value, and teams have been interested in trading for him in the past. As of right now, his trade value sits anywhere from the $4 million to $6 million range, which is completely affordable to teams in need of a power bat, including the Marlins, Mariners, Guardians, and Diamondbacks. Up next, I have Brendan Donovan. Until having to get surgery on his elbow, which should be good to go by next season, Donovan was enjoying a great start to his career, hitting .283 with a .779 OPS in his first 221 games. Along with a great bat, he's also a machine when it comes to playing other positions, as he's literally played every position in the major leagues so far, minus center field and catcher. So why would the Cardinals even consider trading Donovan? Well, the Cardinals desperately need starting pitching, as they only ranked 19th in Fangraph WAR last season with an ERA of 5.08 and a FIP of 4.68. To get pitching, they could deal from a position of strength as they have a plethora of bats. Sure, the Cardinals could trade Dylan Carlson or Tyler O'Neill, but Brendan Donovan will bring you back more value, and I don't think the Cardinals would want to trade Nolan Gorman. What makes dealing Donovan intriguing is his trade value that could help bring back a good return for the Cardinals. When you combine his solid bat and his ability to play multiple positions, along with the fact that he's only 26 years old, not a free agent until 2029, and is making under $1 million, he has a solid trade value. His injury did knock it down a bit, but it currently sits anywhere from $21.5 million to around $32 million. He could either help bring back a solid mid-rotation arm, or he could possibly be used in a package to land a top-of-the-rotation arm out there like Logan Gilbert or Dylan Cease. Coming up next, I have Willy Adames. This won't be the first time a Brewers player appears on this list, but let's start with Willy Adames. While Adames did have a down year at the plate after the 2 seasons prior, he still hit 24 homers, and his defense is still some of the best in the game, as he ranked 3rd in defense among all shortstops last season. Despite only having one more season until free agency, his defense combined with the homers and better projections for 2024 give him a decent median value on baseball trade values of $12.7 million. With his value around this range, as well as just being a solid shortstop, it could make him a hot commodity, especially with the fact that the Brewers could be unloading some talent this offseason. There's also the fact that a couple of teams could use an upgrade at shortstop, including the White Sox and Marlins, or maybe a team like the Blue Jays who could move Bo Bichette to second, while Adames improves their defense at short. Up next, I have Logan Gilbert. The starting pitching market is always hot no matter what time of the year, but it's not often we see someone at the caliber of Gilbert that could be available. Before I even get to his numbers, you might be asking, why would the Mariners even trade him? Well, his name did pop up in trade rumors this past season, with one reason being the Mariners have a surplus of starting pitching. Combine that with the fact that the Mariners could really use an offensive upgrade, and it's not completely out of the question that a potential blockbuster could be worked out. With Gilbert, he holds a ton of trade value, with his median trade value sitting at $73.9 million, and there's many reasons for that. First off, he's good, compiling an ERA of 3.76 and a FIP of 3.67 and only 2 walks per 9 in his first 3 seasons. He's also a workhorse, pitching at least 185 innings in the last 2 seasons. Combine that with the fact that he's made under $1 million in each of his first 3 seasons, and he's under control until 2028. So yeah, he's going to cost you a lot, which makes his market much smaller. When thinking of teams that could be good fits, I'm looking for teams that could use a top-of-the-rotation caliber pitcher, have enough prospects, and possibly a major league ready bat the Mariners could use right now. Those teams include the Cardinals, the Dodgers, the Orioles, the Red Sox, the Reds, and the Rangers, but I don't see them being a trade partner for Gilbert, considering they're in the same division. Up next, I have Dylan Cease. After a couple of disappointing seasons, the White Sox hired Chris Getz as their new general manager, and he's looking to get this team back into contention any way he can. At the general manager meetings, he said there are no untouchables on the roster, and said to get in the right direction, he could use players to multiply to help them in the short and long term. Well, one guy that can absolutely bring you multiple players is Dylan Cease. While his ERA was on the higher side in 2023 at 4.58, it was mainly due to the terrible defense behind him that ranked last in the major leagues, as his FIP was at a healthy 3.72, and he still posted around 11 strikeouts per 9. He's under control for 2 more seasons, and when compared to Logan Gilbert's 4 years of control remaining, Cease's trade value will be lower, but it's still pretty substantial, sitting anywhere from $35 million to $55 million. This would make him much cheaper than Gilbert, but again, a team would have him for 2 less years. However, teams looking for help in the top half of the rotation will definitely make a call. Like I mentioned earlier with Gilbert, the market is always hot for starting pitching, and those teams I mentioned for Gilbert would fit here as well. Coming up next, I have Tyler Glasnow. When it comes to the Rays and their smaller payroll, they're always looking to the future, which means anyone at any time could be up for grabs. That includes Tyler Glasnow, who's going into the last year of a 2-year, $30 million extension. After coming back from Tommy John surgery this past season, he posted some solid numbers, including a 3.53 ERA, a 2.91 FIP, and 12 strikeouts per 9. When it comes to his trade value, it currently sits at a healthy $13.1 million, but with the demand for starting pitching, it could be up anywhere in the $15 to $20 million range. Many teams would be interested, but I'm looking at teams that could use some more stuff, and Glasnow ranked 1st overall in stuff on Fangraphs last season. Teams that could use an upgrade there include the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Giants, and even the Braves, as they all ranked in the bottom 10 in stuff this past season. At number 3, I have Shane Bieber. Over the last few years, it's been a bit up and down for Shane Bieber, especially on the health front, going from 16 starts in 2021 to 31 in 2022, and then 21 this past season. In 2022, despite his velocity dropping a smidge, he had a great season. What's concerning, though, is his advanced numbers have regressed, including his expected numbers, chase percentage, strikeout percentage, and walk percentage, which has reduced his trade value. Combine this with the injuries he's had, his value has taken a hit, as his median value currently sits at $5.7 million, but could escalate up to around $7 million. With the demand for pitching, though, along with a a history of success, this could escalate his value even higher. He could be of service to a lot of teams out there, especially a team with a good defense, considering his ground ball percentage is still high, combined with the prior mentioned lower strikeout percentage. Some teams with a good infield defense and have a need for pitching that come to mind are the Cubs, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, Phillies, Cardinals, and the Yankees. Coming up next, I have Corbin Burnes. It feels like Corbin Burnes has been on the trade block for 36 years now, but this could finally be the time we see him get traded. With the shocking departure of Craig Counsell to the Cubs, the organization feels a bit in limbo. This could also mean the Brewers would want to hang on to him until at least the trade deadline, as they never really like to tear things apart. However, his value would be better now than it would be in July, as you never know if an injury could come up, and a team would have him for a full season if they traded for him right now. As of right now, his median value on baseball trade value sits at $32 million and could get close to $40 million for good reason. Despite his numbers going in the opposite direction a smidge the last couple of seasons, he's still one of the best pitchers in baseball for a few years now, ranking third in Fangraph WAR since 2021, and he's only expected to make $15 million in arbitration in 2024. He also looked great in the second half of the season last year. Combine all of that, and you're looking at a pretty high trade value for just one season. Now, of course, pretty much any team could use some good starting pitching, but to get Burnes, teams will have to have the prospects ready and maybe even a major league ready player to help the Brewers this season if they want to stay competitive. Teams like the Orioles, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Rangers, and Red Sox could use some top of the rotation pitchers and have prospects to deal. And last but not least, I have Juan Soto. It feels like yesterday when we thought Juan Soto would be in a Nationals uniform for life, but after extension talks with the Nationals fell through, he was traded in a blockbuster to the Padres. But with the Padres looking to trim payroll this offseason, along with Soto expected to get over $30 million in his final year of arbitration, it's possible they could be looking to trade him elsewhere. I do think there's a good chance he ends up staying because the Padres had to give up a lot for him. They won't get close to the same return for him now that he's 1 year away from free agency, and they still want to compete. However, if he were to go somewhere, there's definitely some teams that would be interested. His median trade value on baseball trade values currently sits at roughly $23 million, with the high going up to $27.5 million, but I could personally see it going over $30 million because it is Juan Soto at the end of the day. When it comes to Soto, though, I would imagine a team that trades for him would like to think they have a good chance at signing him to an extension. There's a host of teams that would be a good fit for him, including the Cubs, Red Sox, Mariners, Mets, and the Giants, but I don't see San Diego trading him in division. In the end, if the Padres were to trade him, I think the best fit for Soto is the New York Yankees. So that's my list. Tell me what you think down below in the comments. Do you think any of these players get traded? If so, where do you think they end up getting traded to? If you can on the way out, hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.